Alright, what's going on, family? It's your boy 804 here, bringing you some historic Singleton. It's been a very fun format so far. I'm bringing you a Golgari mid-range deck today that was imported directly from MTG Arena Zone, so we're actually going to be looking at the deck for the first time together here. Phyrexian Reclamation is a really cool art, one of my absolute favorites. I saw it at Jumpstart for the first time and I absolutely love it. Obviously we're not going to go through every single card, but we're basically playing my favorite archetype, basically just green-black value as much as possible here. We've got some of the classics. All the classics, all the hits here. We've got some Golgari Fine Brokers, little Leyline Prowler action, big old Gitrog Monster, casualties, just a lot of really fun stuff. And yeah, so basically just a value-centric green-black creature deck. And let's give it a shot here. So make sure I've got the right deck going here. We have already gotten all of the card styles for this event, but honestly I just find it to be a very fun format and allow it out to get as much of it in as possible. I kind of hope that, you know, it's an interesting kind of dichotomy where, in the one sense, I kind of hope they make Singleton a permanent format. I understand that there's Brawl, but I personally don't care as much for Brawl. I kind of see the same 5 or 6 commanders all the time anyways. So the whole concept of diversity that you would have thought Brawl offered doesn't actually work out that way. So unfortunately we don't have a black source, and we do have 3 black cards. I'm gonna have to mulligan this one. This is better. I guess we're just getting rid of the old finale here. Opponent has a pretty clever title. I've got it. Lots of times, obviously, where you have to kind of put your opponent on a card, and whether or not he has it kind of makes the difference. Pretty cool title. Opponent is in the tank here as to whether or not they want to keep. So opponent did keep 7. We'll definitely keep the 6, and I think we're just going to ship the finale. We'll play the thicket here so that way we can get the ball rolling. At the very least, Field of Ruin. Don't think we need to show that yet. So we'll just play a swamp here. We do need to hit a second black source to enable Murderous Rider. So opponent has 4 colors of mana currently. Teamer plus white. Llanowar Elves action right on time. We're going to take things off with the Red Reaper here. So looks like opponent is indexing a little bit more towards white. So some sort of Jeskai deck. Okay. So I don't want to overcommit to the board too much. If he sweeps my board here, we're not not only are we going to lose our creatures, but then the second chapter, basically the rest of the Aroan games just doesn't even matter. So I think what I'll do is I will play Llanowar Elves and just pass. If he uses something like a Deafening Clarion here, we basically just threw away the first Aroan games for nothing. Well, that is pretty terrifying. So, we're a little bit punished, I would say. For not indexing towards the Aroan games, and we're honestly... we're kind of in the same boat as we were last turn. Opponent is playing a pretty good counter to what we're doing. I'm wondering if I should get rid of this Ketria Triome. Because what that will allow us to do is... I guess we don't actually take them off any mana other than green. But I think I'm just going to do it now. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I really want to be able to hold up Murderous Rider for whatever it is that our opponent is doing this next turn. And of course I could do that at instant speed, but just want to make sure that I'm able to do it. And the reason why I'm doing it now is in case our opponent did have a spell that required green mana in their hand. It's possible they're obviously just playing the, and when I say obviously I'm saying it's possible that they're playing the Triome just as a blue-red tap land that can also cycle for 3, which is perfectly fine. They might not have anything in their deck that requires green mana, but that's kind of my reasoning for doing that now. Oh my.
I know who I am, and no one is telling me what to do.
So opponent is definitely outvaluing us right now. Don't think this exiles anything. I think we're
Make
okay
some
with
more
this.
room to fight in.
We'll draw a couple cards from the Midnight Reaper. Reclamation Sage is actually really nice. And we will definitely be killing Chandra if possible.
Reduced to embers.
Alright. So we're definitely going to want to get rid of their rare that continues to allow them to draw cards. I'm pretty sure they've got a sweeper, to be honest. I don't know when the Aroan games is going to be good in this matchup. It kind of feels like our opponent is always going to have access to a sweeper. So maybe we were supposed to play that on the very first turn, which would have made them just decide if they wanted to play. Is this Whirlwind of Thought? Yeah. It would have made them at least have a choice of do they want to play that Whirlwind or not. Extinction Event is also seemingly a dead card in this matchup. Opponent opts to take this 4 damage. I don't imagine whatever we play here is going to resolve, and even if it does, I don't imagine we're really going to get very much value from this, which makes me wonder if it's even worth playing. But I guess we're going to want to bait out the sweeper here eventually. If this gets countered, we would much rather it get countered than the Great Henge. Sure. Fine with that. To some extent, anyways. We'll go ahead and pass. Kinda wish I didn't tap out all of my black mana there. But alright, so opponent definitely plans to react to what we're doing. And at any point in time here, I'm sure we'll see like a Settler's Wreckage or something along these lines. Alright, so we'll let this resolve, but prior to blockers, we'll at least go ahead and get rid of this. And if he's got a way to protect this, then so be it. Okay. Again, we're not going to commit more to the board. We're taking a pretty... oh my. Okay, well, the beauty of this is that alright, so basically as long as he doesn't have exactly what, negate, we're okay here. He could, yeah, see, he could have Dovin's Veto. And if he's got it, he's got it. But this is kind of our only chance to win, I think. It would not surprise me if he does have the Dovin's Veto. I'm definitely choosing... wow, it resolves. That does also exile too, which is pretty awesome. So, got a little lucky there. I was pretty sure that was going to get countered. It is possible that maybe he had like Absorb or something like that in his hand and just didn't have that third mana. But the opponent is... emptying their hand here. So we'll see if he allows the Murderous Rider to go through here. Doesn't look like it. And I've got a feeling that whatever we play here is going to get countered. Doesn't get countered. And what this will do is, if this Voracious Hydra survives, the Great Henge just becomes absolutely incredible. Highly unlikely that it does survive, but we kind of want to... okay, well, that's unfortunate, but... hopefully this will resolve. Awesome. So there is still a chance here. I imagine we will most likely be getting hit with like an Inspired Ultimatum here sometime soon. Potentially even... well, I guess I don't have the mana for anything. Oh boy. Forgot about this guy. Alright, we'll see what the next couple of cards here is on the top of our deck, but it's not looking good here. That's a pretty big blowout, you know, all things considered. Doesn't look like the opponent really has a lot of creatures in their deck to make good use of the Great Henge. It will, however, just allow them to continuously gain 2 life every turn. I want to see what that last card is. Alright, we'll take the time. That might actually end up being really important due to the fact that he could have time wiped his Agent of Treachery. So now we basically just have to hope our opponent bricks on creatures here for a little while at least. A lot of lands here. So I don't imagine questing deep or Murderous Rider really gets to do much for the rest of the game, given the fact that they do have Icy and Giant Killer. Sure. So hit a little rough patch of lands there, which is a little bit unfortunate, but if Oracle does get to survive, like if our opponent just draws a land here, and Oracle survives, unless we hit, this would have then been 4 lands in a row. I'm sorry, 5 lands, because we hit 2 last time. That is really, really bad for us.
Those who cannot perceive beyond.
So the good news is they shouldn't be able to get a creature off of it to draw additional cards.
Just the trick for this.
But it is certainly not looking good. Honestly, I think the Oracle might be the right play there. I think we're okay to scoop this. You know, especially without the Oracle, we have no way of filtering our draws. Our opponent was just going to continue to gain life here until we're able to put some pressure, and in the meantime, you know, he is just kind of racking up value there. So it's definitely unfortunate that Agent of Treachery completely blew us out, but that is what that card does, and I would much rather deal with it on turn 7 than on turn 3 like previous constructed formats, so we'll take it. Alright, so looking forward here, this is a pretty risky keep, but given the fact that we're on the play, I feel like we might be able to make it work. If we draw essentially any creature between now and our 4th land, I mean, I guess we could play the Hydra, but that wouldn't be ideal. However, Paradise Druid is pretty ideal. Opponent plays a Fabled Passage. They are also playing green. So it looks like our opponent is on a Jund strategy. And I think we're actually just not going to attack with the Paradise Druid. If our opponent is in Jund, there's a really good chance they've got some spot removal. They could, of course, also just be running sweepers, which would still kind of blow us out here, but they're actually just on 5 colors. Alright. So that is terrifying, to say the least. And we'll go on ahead and start getting frisky here. If the Garrick survives, it should allow us to... Really, I guess if either of our creatures survive, it should allow us to get down the Great Henge. This next turn, our opponent does have access to all 5 colors. And Fires of Invention, a natural Fires of Invention.
It's time to step out of the shadow. Oh, the day is yours.
Well, we can get rid of so obviously I would much rather have just hit a land drop this last turn. But, given the fact that, once again, if the Lovestruck Beast survives, then we can get our Great Henge out. Maybe that was just a misplay. We were probably supposed to just play the Wolf Willow Haven and at least try to guarantee ourselves the 4 mana this next turn. The opponent is going to town here on their value train. I imagine only a matter of time before something like okay, well, we certainly don't mind that. We could potentially actually outvalue our opponent here. So we know that our opponent can't actually play any spells on our turn. So let's go on ahead and get Lovestruck Beast, which is an absolutely massive 8/8. We'll go on ahead and play the Great Henge here. So let's see. Let's see if our opponent is willing to give up enough creatures here. He doesn't have any good blocks. So this will allow him to... I guess he just blocked with everything. Okay. So he does draw a card. He does get loyalty. So I'm not actually sure if that really accomplished that much, but what I will do is I'll just play our Willow Haven here, and this should offer us a little bit of protection here. We needed to hit our land drops. So our opponent kind of has a decision. He can only cast 2 spells. Granted, they're free spells, but he kind of wants to both deal with our Lovestruck Beast and our Garrick, and then also deal with our Great Henge. So even if we lose something like Garrick and Lovestruck Beast and Garrick this turn, I still think we're in a pretty good position here with the Great Henge. Now, if I'm not mistaken, okay, only enchantments. Wow, so I guess we got pretty lucky there. He also opts...
We are the apex predators.
...to play a Sanctum here. Okay. Well, we're going to go on ahead and just get our emblem. And I think we'll make a... We'll make a... Am I not counting this right? There we go. We'll just double the counters here. My reasoning for that is... Oh yeah. Do we have a way of dealing with... here? I mean, our opponent could be playing sweepers here, which certainly sucks. I feel like Elder Golgari is probably pretty good.
All.
It's a pretty sweet game. Alright. Opponent's seen enough. I don't blame him. That was pretty wild. Ultimating that Garrick is also pretty awesome in a 100 card creature-based deck in a singleton format as well, where you kind of get a toolbox of everything you need. I mean, that's just good magic. Okay. Opponent was not about that. And like I said, the green-black Golgari value decks are, in general, my favorite way to play the game. Favorite shard is definitely Sultai. We'll definitely keep this hand. It's a little light on lands, so we will need to get a little bit lucky here, but we've got 2 shots. Ideally we'll get an untapped source, slam Garrick, our questing beast, on turn 3, which would be pretty awesome. Alright. So opponent has the same sleeves as I do, because they are still, in my opinion, the very coolest. Probably my favorite art, not only of Liliana, but just favorite art in general. Oh, tough. Well, that is certainly unfortunate. We are just going to pass the turn here. So opponent seems to be on more of a mono-green strategy.
Oh, I am gonna love tearing this place to the ground. We're fit enough to survive.
Okay. That was pretty good. So our opponent is going to have access to just a billion mana next turn. We will, however, get to take a little bite out of crime here,
for conflicts like this.
bringing the Vivian down to 1 loyalty. Opponent still has access to, what, 7 mana this turn, though, so we are certainly not out of the woods yet. I guess Voracious Hydra would be... That's also not that bad, honestly.
The land fights for us.
Well, that's a little bit worse. Maybe not, though. So if we slam something like a Garrick here, we can... Yeah, I think I like this.
I've got an extra grind.
We slam the Garrick.
How dare you to stop this?
We get to eat, essentially, one of our opponent's planeswalkers here. Is this 6 damage? So how much did I deal? Is that 6? This might be a mistake. I'm hoping that just eats it. I don't understand why it's doing 6 though. Is it because damage can't be prevented? I'm guessing that's what it is. Oh, I think it's because I've got Death Touch, I only dealt the 1 damage to... Oh, that's unfortunate. Not the end of the world, but certainly unfortunate. Oh, it's actually pretty bad though, right? Because now we lose our Garrick as well.
Stomping time.
That was a short hunt.
Our opponent does have access to a Fiend Artisan, so we're in trouble. Well, it's not great, but I think we'll just take this opportunity, wipe his board. He's got a Vivian that's just ticking up, which is obviously terrifying, but I'm hoping that we can find a way here to catch back up. Opponent is now incentivized actually to just start finding lands. That's actually a decent one to find here. Alright, this certainly is not ideal, but we're not necessarily out of the woods here yet.
My, how
Alright,
you've
well that's not bad.
grown.
Alright, we'll go with the old Gitrog here. So opponent can basically just go fish out, like, I don't know, end raise Forerunners. I guess Ulamog would equally be terrifying. But I am hoping that they opt to just not ultimate. Alright, so there's still a chance here.
Stomping time.
Get rid of the swamp here. Unfortunately, we do just hit 2 lands. Tough. Do either of these have trample? Doesn't look like it. So we'll try to get in here. He opts to just let the
Anger only
Vivian
gets me so
go.
far.
Now that is an interesting choice. Double the counters here, so they do get to draw a few cards. I still honestly can't believe that they just let the Vivian go like that. Maybe they don't have a sideboard, but I imagine they could have stuck something like an Ulamog. Maybe Ulamog is in their main board actually. Come to think of it. Alright, well, we don't really mind that. Alright, and our opponent has seen enough. So it looks like we got there. Alright, well, I really appreciate everybody watching. I hope you guys got to enjoy. I hope you guys did enjoy watching some of this Golgari mid-range deck. We got to showcase a little bit of the Gitrog Monster. We did also draw Voracious Hydra. Had a little Great Henge action there, which was pretty sweet. Didn't really get to drop the Ugins. But we did get to ultimate a Garrick today, and that was the first time I've done it actually, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Getting to kind of build your own birthing pod in a way with that is pretty sweet. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying the historic singleton format. I find it to be way more fun than Brawl personally, but that's just my opinion, of course. And yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy. In terms of anything that I would change in the deck, I do think that this is a deck that should probably be running Fiend Artisan, now that I'd seen it. I did mention in the beginning of the call that I basically just, beginning of the recording, that I just kind of copied and pasted it from MTG Arena Zone, which is by far my favorite website to go for Magic content right now. I think they do a really great job. and I'm not seeing Fiend Artisan in the list. Again, in a singleton format where you're running a green-black creature-based deck, I think that Fiend Artisan fits in perfectly here, and I would certainly play it over something like Kyrian Dryad. So, just kind of a first glance at it. But other than that, I thought it played pretty well. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.